Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to the Space Between Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans behind a band that has been making music for over 30 years. This particular band is being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this month on the 19th in Cleveland, Ohio. So if this is your very first time to listen to this show, we are going to talk about one band and one band only, and that is the Dave Matthews Band. If you've never heard of them, well, buckle up because we're going to talk a lot about them. We're going to go through history because, again, over 30 years of music, there's just an unlimited supply of things that we can talk about. And so each episode, I invite a Dave Matthews Band fan to come onto my show to tell us their journey with the band. Where did they first hear? How many, have they been to shows? All different fanhoods behind the Dave Matthews Band, people that have just found the music, people that have been loving them since day one in 1991. So this episode is like every episode. I've asked a fan to come onto the show to share their journey with the Dave Matthews Band. So first of all, thank you so much for offering to share your journey with everybody. Tell us what's your name, where are you from, and tell us a little bit about you.
I'm Kevin Cullen. I'm 68 years old. I grew up in Southern California in Los Angeles, and I'm old enough that I was in the 70s. I got to see everybody, and I mean everybody. The
Awesome.
Led Zeppelin, the Who, Pink Floyd, and I went to everything because you
Wow.
could. I went to
Yeah.
school in Pasadena, California, and I'm the same age as the guys in Van Halen, and they lived in Pasadena, and they played at our freshman dance.
No way.
Yeah,
Oh my
they were just
God.
they weren't even called Van Halen, they were called Mammoth. And
No
then
way.
they changed their name to Genesis, and I guess they found out that name was taken. So
Hmm.
then they changed it to Van Halen, and I went to school with David. We'd arrive at school in the morning, and we would prepare ourselves for class.
You were instant friends, bonded.
Yeah, and he was a rock star before he was a rock star. I mean, he
Right.
dressed and everything. He just played it up, and
Yeah.
he just thought he was the best thing since sliced bread, and he believed it, and pretty soon everybody else did. And as you know, they went to the Whiskey A Go Go and got signed by Gene Simmons. So they we never saw him after that. But in those days, you could get them to play in your backyard for $100. I'm not
My
kidding.
God. Oh
And
my
it was
God.
Eddie and Alex and David Lee Roth, and they would play as long as you had a keg. And it was amazing. It was an amazing time to grow up in LA and see
Wow.
live music.
Wow. Can you, $100 was so much more back then, but like for $100 now, you can't even get a good DJ to come to your backyard. It's crazy. So you moved to Texas at some point. So how long have you been in Houston?
Well, I've been in Houston. I moved in 2001. I worked for a consulting firm, and I was a partner. And they asked me to move to Houston for a year so that I could learn how to run the company because the partners were getting older. So I did for 1 year. I agreed for 1 year. No one moves to Houston for the weather, and
God, no.
nobody moves for the view. And at the time
No.
that I moved, I lived on the beach in San Francisco. So
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, I was looking at the Pacific Ocean. So I moved here. I'm a sailor, and they told me, "Don't worry, you can sail down here, Galveston." And I went there and I nearly cried because it's so ugly.
It isn't. It is.
Dirty water, and
It's all we
so.
have in Texas. It's all we
Yeah,
have.
but I have to say this about Texas. I'm still here. So I
You
moved here for
are.
a year in 2001. And why have you stayed? Because obviously it's not the weather, it's a view. The people here are wonderful. I love being a Texan, and I think after 8 years you can claim yourself as a Texan.
You
So
can. You
yeah,
can.
so I've been a Texan for since 2001, and I love it here.
My husband does not like me to say this, but I was born and raised in Texas, and I did not move to Arkansas until I was 24-ish. So, I love Texas. It has a special place in my heart. And like you said, the people are kind.
Yeah,
not everybody, obviously, but like there's just a different feel. I've traveled, you've traveled. It feels different. But yeah, it's
yeah,
it's also probably the weather. We're too tired to be mean, right? It's
yeah.
hot. So you love Houston. So this is going to be your home. And you know what? Houston is a great place because it obviously is a big city, so that draws in, entertainment. There's professional sports, and so there's a lot of ways to have fun in Houston. What do you find yourself doing down there?
Well, I'm a big Astros fan. I have
Uh-huh.
season tickets, so I go to a lot of games.
Yeah.
I'm a big fisherman.
Hmm.
A lot of people here hunt. I can't hunt. I can't kill
Yeah.
an animal, but for
Yeah.
some reason, I don't have any problem killing fish.
It's
So,
different.
and I eat the fish that I catch. So,
Yeah.
I go down to Cabo once or twice a year and catch big game fish. And
Uh-huh.
I go to California once a year and fish off the coast and catch huge, I mean, huge, like 200-pound tuna.
Wow.
So I'm fishing, sailing, music,
Hmm.
and sports are kind of my thing. And
Yeah.
I'm a big collector of art. At some point in here, I'll give you a little tour of some of the art
Yeah.
pieces I own. It's I have quite a good collection. If you start buying good art when you're young, after a while, you have quite a collection. So
That's right. That's
like that.
right. So I have to ask, when was it that you first heard of the Dave Matthews Band? Tell us, like, what was the first time you were like, "What? Who's that?"
Well, I don't remember. I'm sure I heard about the Dave Matthews Band because they were on the scene, but I
Uh
didn't
huh.
know it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a
Yeah.
name of a band from Seattle or something,
Right. Right.
it sounded like it was in the category of the grunge band, so I never paid attention to it.
Yeah.
And one day I was getting my car washed, and I was standing next to this guy, and we just started talking about music. And I said, "What do you like?" And he said, "I like this Dave Matthews Band." And I said, "Yeah, I think I've heard of them. Are they any good?" And he said, "Well, I have six discs in my changer. You remember the
Oh,
changers?"
oh, I had one.
Yeah.
I thought it was so fancy.
He said, "And they're all Dave Matthews." And I said, "So you only listen to Dave Matthews?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "That's all I ever listened to." And I said, "Well, I'll have to check them out sometime." And then serendipitously, right after that, I saw something popped up, and I saw that they were coming to Houston. So I went to get tickets, and um, somehow I got into the warehouse and got really good tickets. So, I signed up
Yeah.
and got
Yeah.
really, really good tickets. I was in about the 14th row in the center. So my first show, at that time, this was in 2002. That's the
Okay.
first time I ever
2002.
saw them. But I literally went and bought one of their discs. I don't even remember which one it was, probably Crowded Streets, but um, I listened to it and I didn't like any of it. I
You did
didn't
not?
understand. I did not like the disc.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to it very carefully, but I listened to it. It's like
Sure.
you couldn't understand what he was saying, and
Yeah.
it just wasn't. It just didn't, appeal
It
to me.
didn't
But
grab
I had
you.
the
Yeah.
ticket. I had the ticket, so I went,
Yeah.
and they opened up, and I didn't know any of their music, so they opened up, and it's sort of like all a blur, their songs. And then at some point, he played Bartender.
Uh-huh.
And this is before it ever was recorded. He played Bartender, and I was blown away by that song. And I turned to the kid next to me and I said, because he obviously knew the band, and I said,
Yeah.
"What's the name of that song?" And he said, "It's Bartender." And I said, "What album is it on?" Because I wanted to get the album and listen to that song again. And he
Right.
said, "It's not on an album." And I said, "What do you mean it's not on an album? That's the best song he's played all night." And he said, "Well, they've never recorded it." And I said, "Well, then how the hell do you know about it?" And he
Mm-hmm.
said, "Because they play it regularly at concerts." And I said, "So you've heard that song before?" He said, "Many times." And I said, "How many times have you seen him?" And he said, 16. And he was a young kid. He
Wow.
was probably
Wow.
about 17 years old, and he'd already seen him
Wow.
16 times. And I said,
Wow.
"Who the fuck goes to see somebody 16 times?" And he goes, "Most of the people here." And I said, "So this is kind of like Deadheads or something, right?" So a few songs later, he played "Grace Is Gone,"
Mm-hmm.
and I was speechless. There were tears running down my face. It so captured where I was at in life. I had just recently gotten divorced,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't quite over it. But if you
Yeah.
listen to the words of that song, it's exactly how I felt, and
Mm-hmm.
like tears are running. So I'm like totally impressed by this band. And you can't overlook the people all know the songs, they know the music, they know the words to the song. They're singing it and their hands go up on the right notes and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And I was like, this is a pretty great band. I really like these guys. So that was in 2002. And then they left. And, it was kind of like I never forgot that night.
Right.
And so the next year, remember, I was a member of the warehouse. So
Uh-huh.
I signed up for, d- more tickets.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how many times I saw them that next year, but I saw them two or three times. I went to two or three different cities,
Oh,
and
wow.
then it was just like on. And so I've seen them. I don't know how many times I've seen them, but it's close to 100. So it's
Wow.
over 90. It's over 90, but it's like I probably should figure out how many times I've seen
I
him so I can
know.
on
And there
the
are a
on the
lot
home.
of there's a lot of apps and internet sites that can help you track that too. So I can send you some things that will make it easier rather than just trying to remember because that's a whole lot tougher.
Yeah, I
But
could go
like,
on the ant. I could go on the ants
yeah,
thing and
that's
mark
right.
them all and stuff. But here's the one thing that makes it easy. I have a poster from every single show I've ever been to.
Wow. So we're definitely going to
So,
have to see your poster collection for sure.
well, you can see
When
some of it because we ran out of room in the
oh my
house.
God.
My wife kept saying to me, "What are you going to do with all these posters?" Because I was getting them framed, so they were all in
Uh-huh.
my home office, and I said, "Oh, I'll find a place." And she said, "Listen, you can't put these things up in the house. There's too many of them. It's like we don't have the wall space." So she was away in Canada for
Oh
a couple of
no.
weeks, and I was here,
Oh
and I
no.
had somebody come in, and they filled the stairwell
Oh my
with
God.
there's probably in the stairwell alone there's probably 60 or 70 posters, and then I have
What?
some. Oh, I'll show it to you. You want to see it?
Yeah, yes, I want to see
All
that.
right, hang on.
And I promise you, everyone else listening to this is going to want to see it. So if you're listening to this on a podcast app, just know that you can go to YouTube and watch this so you can see these posters because I just know we're going to see some good ones. Okay, so walk us through some of these because I don't know what
So
all of
that's
these are
that's a
from.
very recent one from Paris this year.
Oh,
And
wow.
I haven't hung it yet, but
Yeah.
that's going up because it's the last space that's available in the house. But here's the poster collection.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So that's one wall,
That's incredible. What's
and
the one
then
with the skull on it? I haven't seen that one.
that one
Right
that's
there.
that's that one is Tim and Dave Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas in 2010.
Oh wow, that's
And then
really awesome. Oh wow, there's a
here's
whole nother
another
wall.
wall.
Oh my God. I would just like be, yeah, I would be like like a at an art gallery, just looking, staring, just at each one for 15
And
minutes.
then there's these ones.
What's that one right there that looks like a loaf of bread? That's probably not what it is. Okay, so I see the boom box and then the one
That
right next to that.
the one with the candles on top.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Is it a cake?
That is it's a cake and it's Tim and Dave, and I think that's from that also might be Las Vegas.
Man, Vegas has gotten some cool ones. Oh, I'm gonna guess that one is
Yeah.
Texas with the armadillo and the Texas colors.
Well, that one's Vegas too, with the
Oh,
and that one's Vegas too. That was two nights in a row, and those were the posters
that's
from
awesome. That's
those shows.
awesome.
And I'll show you something else. Um, I have to go to my office. Hang on one sec here. Now, in my office, in my formal office at work, I
Hmm.
have another whole wall, and it's got about 20 posters.
Oh my gosh.
But there's
Hey, look at you.
some,
You got the twins there sitting right next to each other.
there they
Oh,
are.
oh wow, they're
And
so good.
there's a signed drum head
Drumhead.
from the
Yeah.
original band with Leroy and Boyd. And
Wow.
those are drumsticks I've caught that Carter threw.
Oh my
And
God.
there's another signed drum head, and there's another Carter thing.
Dude,
And
you have really collected so many cool things. Wow. And you have two drum heads. Like, how lucky are you? You're so
yeah.
lucky.
So
Wow.
the original drum head from the original band,
Uh-huh.
a friend of mine who lives in Denver, um, knows there's this Dave's personal security guy was named Daryl,
Uh-huh.
and his brother lives in Denver. A friend of mine knows him really well, and he donated that drum head to a charity auction.
Uh-huh.
And when he donated that, she called me and she said, "If I don't let you buy this, you'd kill me." And she
Mm-hmm.
said, "Here's how much we want for the charity." And it was like $300 or something ridiculous, silly. I mean, and I said, "Sure." And she sent it to me. So I
Well,
got
that's
that one.
amazing.
And
And
yeah,
you put money towards a good cause. So it was a win-win.
absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. So let's go back. When did you remember or kind of find out that as you went from concert to concert that you were never going to get the same show? Like when did you catch on to that?
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Rich from the Eddie Casino Band out in Las Vegas. We're really excited to get this journey going, celebrating our music, our original music, on all platforms. We just released our first single over Labor Day weekend called Eddie Casino. If you're looking for new music, look out for our next single coming out to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Music. These guys in the band are really excited to get started playing music for you all. If you like Tom Petty, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Dave Matthews Band, Rob Thomas, Jimmy Buffett, Pink Floyd, Stapleton, Bare Naked Ladies, Goose, Billy Strings, Sting and the Police, a ton of influences that we bring to the table. Hope you enjoy our music and look forward to seeing you soon live on stage.
Well, I guess that kid may have told me that.
Uh-huh.
That
Yeah.
kid told me a lot of stuff about the band, but it was obvious that when I went the next year, I'd go and it's like I want to hear this song, and they
Uh-huh.
would play whatever they play, and
Yep.
so you get what's really great is you never know,
That's right.
and that's even a name of a song,
That's right.
you, but you never know, and I love that you don't know, and I love that they don't keep ripping the same stuff every night. You know, in each year, I probably go to 5 or 6 shows a year, and
Awesome.
they sometimes get on, we're going to play this one a lot,
True.
and they'll play that one for that whole tour, and then
Right.
you won't hear it for 5 years.
Yeah, it's like it broke out of
It's
the
pretty
vault
amazing.
for 1 year only.
Yeah.
But how cool
So,
that they can do that. I mean, with such a big catalog, there's so many games that they can play. Like, we're going to give you
well,
this, and then we're never going to give it to you for 20 more years.
yeah. So I went to that. They recorded 2 nights in Vegas, and I went to those two shows, and that was amazing. And
I'm
it was sort
sure.
of like at the first night of I was there with my wife, and the first night of the Vegas show, they played the zombie song "Time of the Season."
Uh huh.
What's your
Yeah.
name? Who's your daddy?
Uh huh.
And
And he
my
does it well.
wife just my wife just she said that was the best song he's ever
Oh, wow.
played.
Of course.
And
Yeah. He does
and
a great
so
version.
yeah, he really did it. And I think that was the first time he'd ever played it live
Wow.
as a
Wow.
cover. But so then at some point it was obvious to me that I had no interest in their studio albums, and I only had interest in their live albums. So I started buying all those live track things because
Mm-hmm.
you'd hear songs and you'd hear them, they'd pick something was really well done, even though
Yeah.
you'd heard the song 40 times. They'd pick like the best of the best often. So
Right.
I started, and just like that kid, I started listening to Dave Matthews only. And I still love lots of other bands, and I
Sure.
go to see lots of different shows. But anybody that knows me knows that Dave Matthews is, my home, my touchstone, if you will.
So what do your friends and obviously like your coworkers, what do they think about this when it comes to you? Like, are you the Dave guy? Like everybody just kind of knows it and accepts it, or do you find that people are like, "What?"
Well, everybody that knows me knows that I love the Dave Matthews Band. I'm always posting stuff on Facebook about when I
True,
go to the
true.
shows. So, and they'll send me things. It's like, hey, do you know he's coming to so and so? And yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm going. I already got I got the tickets 4 months ago.
Yeah,
You know, so
exactly.
I've seen them so close to 100 times. So I've seen them in most states. I've
Hmm.
seen them in all the California venues and seen them in Seattle. I saw them when they. So one night, Dave and Tim played in Seattle,
Hmm.
a benefit concert that featured the Dalai Lama,
Oh, I
who
heard about
came.
that.
Yeah, so it was called. Well, actually, I have the poster
Of course you
from
do.
from
You have a poster
that
from
one. I'll
every
show you.
show.
Yeah.
I love
So
that.
there's the poster from that particular show.
Okay, back up just a little. Let's
Okay.
see. Uh oh wow. I love the colors of that. I love the
Yeah.
colors. It's
And the
very
guy
different.
framed it really. So all the frames except for this one are all black. But why this was interesting to me is I've met the Dalai Lama. I was invited to his home in
Wow.
India in Dharamsala. So I got to spend an hour or so with him privately.
How
And
was
so
it?
it was phenomenal. But
Yeah?
just imagine you get to ask the Dalai Lama anything. So
Wow.
after that, it was Dave and the Dalai Lama. You think I'm going to miss that? So
No
up to
way.
Seattle we went, and it was amazing.
Absolutely.
It was
I
I've
bet.
never seen Dave so nervous. His knees were shaking. I mean, he literally was shaking, and he was, how he's kind of as brilliant as he is. I think the guy man is a savant, but
Uh-huh. Yes.
he is not very articulate to me. He stumbles through words and
He
he repeat,
does.
so
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
he was like that with the Dalai Lama, but the Dalai Lama loved him. And at the end of it, he fist bumped Dave. I think let's see if this is in here. Let's see if this is it. No, there's a picture from the newspaper of Dave fist bumping the Dalai Lama that I had framed. I think it might be in my office, but okay, we'll do.
Yeah. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and like. And I totally feel like a 17-year-old saying that, but it actually does matter if you do that. And if you're listening to this on a podcast app, one way that you can help the space between is by writing a review. Like, which ones out of those 100-ish just keep coming back to you when you think about shows, like how impactful it was? I mean, it sounds like your first one was really impactful and it touched you, and it was the words that you needed at that time. So are there any other moments that you've had in your 100 that you remember getting emotional?
Well, I would say it's not so much the words, it's sometimes the venue. Some
Mm-hmm.
of the venues are obviously better than others.
True.
Everybody talks about Alpine, everybody. So the first time I went to SPAC in New York, I
Yes,
didn't know what to expect. People kept talking about it. It's like, okay, what the hell is this? And it's way up north in upstate New York. And so when I got to Saratoga, it's one have you ever been there?
I have. I
Okay,
went last year.
it's an amazing little city. But
It
when
is.
you go into the venue and you cross that little bridge to go into where you get into it's kind of surrounded by the woods. It's
Yes.
like a Tolkien. It's like it's magical. I mean, like you can feel it. And in I
I said the
went,
same
and it
thing.
was like, oh my God, this place is amazing. And was lucky enough to be in the front row. So
Oh my God.
I was literally like, you can almost throw a piece
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
popcorn at, and
Yeah.
and so those 2 nights, the first time I saw them at SPAC, those 2 nights were really, really special. And then I went
Mm.
back and saw Tim and Dave at SPAC, and it's kind of like I'd go there every year if I could. It's really hard to get tickets for it, but
Yeah,
it's
it
it's
is an
worth it.
awesome venue. It is.
So
I have
that's
Oh, I've described SPAC before, and this is so lame, but when I got back, I kind of had like those feelings that it was magical place and it was hard to explain because there were no other venues like it. I said I felt like I was in some version of Mary Poppins, like because it all just felt very like fair like, but also a park, but also the Dave Matthews Band in here, and the lawn is like a park in itself. Like it's just completely different than anything I've ever been to. It's really
yeah.
cool, really, really cool. But being inside the building is key at SPAC because if you're on the lawn, you cannot see. You cannot
I
see
can't.
anything.
I I'm a seat snob,
Yeah, no,
so
me too.
I've never
No.
been on the lawn. I've never been on the lawn. I've never been on the lawn for any show. And almost every show I've ever been to, I'm in the first 8 rows or in the
That's
pit.
awesome.
So
That's awesome.
if I'm going to be way back there, I might as well watch the video because it's so far
Hmm.
away. I want to look in their eyes, and
I
you
feel
know
you. Yes.
it's amazing. It's amazing to be up close. And so people know, and it's the same when I go to a baseball game. I'm
Uh
in the
huh.
10th row. I won't go unless I get really good seats.
Right.
And
Right.
so you asked me about special places.
Yeah.
Um, I've been to the Gorge twice, and that place, that place. Have you been?
I have. I went last year. Last year was a
Yeah.
banner year. I went to 24
My
shows
God.
last
Okay.
year. It was silly, but
Yeah.
also
So
awesome.
So the gorge is like the opposite of SPAC. It's out in the middle of nowhere. It's
True.
sort of in the desert along the
Yeah.
Columbia River. It's hot and dusty. You go to SPAC and it's filled with oxygen because there's so much
Hmm.
plant life. It feels so alive. The other place doesn't feel alive, but it's so special because everybody's there is so excited, and they're there for one reason only. And during the day you go out and hang out in the river and jet ski and do all that stuff, and then
Yeah.
go to the shows. And I loved going to the shows.
Where did
um,
you stay
I,
when you went to
I,
the gorge? Like what, because there's so many different levels of ways you can do the gorge. How did you do the
uh-huh.
gorge?
Well, the first time I went by myself, and
Hmm.
I had 2 tickets for each night in the pit.
Uh-huh.
And um, I'd never been, and it was I couldn't tell what do you actually do to how do you do this? I don't
Right.
I didn't want to camp, and so
Right.
I stayed outside of uh probably at a hotel in I can't remember the name of the town, but it's not far from, it's like Ellensburg or something like that. But I
Okay.
stayed at a hotel like a, Red Lion Hotel, and then I would just drive in 20 minutes each day, and I'd get
Dude,
there
that's
early and do the
perfect.
water. Okay, so
That's perfect.
clean sheets and a shower and you know
Hmm. Yes.
food and all that stuff. So that's how I
Yes.
did. But I hooked up with somebody who ended up being what I called my seat buddy, and
Uh-huh.
she didn't have tickets, but she was camping, so she brought me over to her campsite, and there was like 9 people that all do this every year,
Yeah.
and so I became part of their little entourage.
Yeah.
And I had just come back from a big fishing trip, and I brought a bunch of raw tuna up with me, so I shared it with them, and they devoured it. So
Holy
so I was
shit.
in with them.
Oh, well,
I
yeah.
was in with them because they were barbecuing and stuff. So when they first heard about the raw tuna, it's like but I'm telling you, once they tasted it, it was sushi grade sushi
Holy
sashimi,
shit.
and it was phenomenal right before the show. And then we would get together and they would play music, and I'm still
Yeah.
friends with some of them.
Yeah.
And um, so the gorge was another one. I've seen I went to the gorge the year of COVID, and the let's see, Jeff and Carter didn't play because they were both sick.
That's
So
right.
we had a different horn guy, and we had Buddy was playing the drums, and
Which
it was it
no
was
one
but
saw coming, right?
he came Dave came out and he said, this is going to be one of a kind. And
Hmm.
it really was. It was an amazing show. And I'm glad quite frankly, it was really great that they that they weren't too sick, but
Right,
it
right.
it it featured the band in a way that they never had played. So he played 5 songs by himself, he played 5 songs with Tim, and then they had this you know rough and tough group called
Dumpster funk.
Dumpster something or other,
Yeah, yeah,
Dumpster Funk,
yeah,
and they kind of filled in the blanks and played guitar and so forth. So
yeah.
it was really it was really special. And then the other thing, so if you said to me, what's like the best show you ever saw, you
Hmm.
know. First off, I'm the worst person to ask because I walk out of every show and say that was the best one ever.
I am
But
too.
a few years ago, I went to Madison Square Gardens, and it was the last 2 shows of the year. And let's see, who
Mhm.
was the, oh, Jeff had COVID on that one.
No way.
And so they had this, I can't remember the guy's name, but his name was like Eddie or something like that. And he was
Uh-huh.
playing the horn and saxophone. And of
Uh-huh.
course, Rashawn had his arm around him. He was kind of telling him what to do because he really got thrown in there that day. And
Wow.
this guy was amazing. This guy was amazing. And the opening band came out and they had trombones, and it was one of the best shows I ever saw. And they played it was almost like if I was going to write the set list, that's the one I would write because they just played everything like every single song was my favorite song.
Wow. Yeah.
So, they always play 20 to 23 songs, and I'm telling you there wasn't one of them that wasn't just amazing.
Yeah.
And I've never seen the band come alive like I saw them that night.
Wow. So
Um,
what year was that? 2022 or
it was about
3?
4 years ago, I think. It's about
Okay.
4 years ago. So I'd say it was
Okay.
2021, or
Okay.
we're still doing COVID, so
Right.
maybe it was
Okay, gotcha.
2022.
It all
It
seems like so
wasn't
long
this
ago.
year. It wasn't. It's probably 2022. But I'm
Gotcha.
telling you, if you ever get a chance to listen to that that show that Jeff wasn't in the band for the show. It's amazing. It's
I'm
really
writing it
amazing.
down right now. Okay, I'm writing it down. I always do this when people give me homework or like, hey, you should listen to this. I'm like, okay, hold on, what was it again? Because I'm literally going to do it because I'm that level of nerd or whatever. Like, give me some Dave homework. I'm gonna do it. So two
One
twenty
of the best
twenty
shows I've ever seen,
one MSG.
or 22.
I've never, and I'll say 22. So Jeff was out for COVID. So I'll Google that and I'll find it or I'll
Yeah.
figure it out. Everyone that I've ever heard that said that they
The
see.
posters at my office. The poster's at my office, and it has a rhinoceros on it. So whatever year that was, that
I don't
that's
know.
the one.
Okay, well I'll find the
Okay.
poster because that'll probably be easier if I just look for the poster. It's a rhino. Perfect. I've never been to MSG. It literally only because it is in November near Thanksgiving, and I have 4 kids at Christmas. And so it's like not the best time to be spending a lot of money on myself. So I've never been, but
Yeah.
everyone that's ever gone, ever, is like, not only is the show always special in some way, but just being in Madison Square Garden in general and the history there. And then on top of that, you're in New York City. So it's like layer upon layer upon layer of just one of the best places to see them.
What's up, everybody? This is David with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. We're a nationally touring tribute to DMB, playing shows all over the country and beyond. Our goal is to bring you back to the classic sound that you fell in love with in the 90s and the 2000s, featuring a violin, saxophone, and maybe some keyboards sprinkled in as well. You can find out information about all of our tours and shows by visiting thedmtb.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and other socials by searching the Dave Matthews Tribute Band or the DMTB. Hope to see you on the road and enjoy the Space Between podcast.
Well, I don't know. I know Dave lived in New York for some part of his life, but I'm telling you, when he goes to SPAC and when he does MSG, you can visibly see that he is really pumped up. Now,
Oh,
he's
awesome.
always kind of enthusiastic, but there's a special energy that he brings when he plays at New York venues, and I don't know what it is, but he just brings it, man. It
Awesome.
really is amazing.
It's true.
Yeah.
When so many people have said it, so I believe it. One day I'm going to get there, but I know that if I ever go to New York, I have to bring my 14-year-old daughter, and I'm not quite ready to take her to a Dave show. Not quite yet. Not quite, because I'm so selfish. I'm like, I want to stand there and pay
Yeah.
attention. And if I bring
Mm.
her, she's going to be like, Mom, I need to pee, or Mom, I need a drink. And I'm like, no, we can never leave.
Yeah.
So we'll
Yeah.
get there. We'll get there. Anything else stick out? Have you ever been to what everyone calls Deer Creek, which is in Indiana?
Nope.
No, I'm going to give you
Nope.
homework. I'm going to give you homework.
Yeah.
So
I'll
Deer
definitely
Creek,
go.
Indiana, it's
You
two
know,
nights.
there's a few that I need to check off. One
Yeah.
of them is that one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. When we talk about like the Mecca, which again, if you're not familiar with the Dave Matthews Band in general, there are certain venues that fans always talk about. And so, MSG being one of those, of course, SPAC, which is in New York, the Gorge. And another is one that we call Deer Creek only simply because this venue used to be called Deer Creek. It's not called that now. It's called like the Ruoff Music Center or whatever. It's in Noblesville, Indiana. It literally is in a cornfield and it's magical on a whole different level. Like it's just like, wow, there is nothing here but corn, but it's so, so cool. They always put on a great show. And then past that, yeah, Alpine. Have you been to Alpine?
I've not been to Alpine.
You got to do it.
So,
You got to
well,
do it.
yeah, but I mean, I've been checking all these things off. I own a business, so I have to work sometimes.
Can't be on vacation
And
all the time.
yeah, but I slowly but surely will check them all off.
You will.
Um, this past year, I uh, saw them in Paris,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the thing that was great about Paris was it was a really small venue.
I heard.
I don't know
Oh,
how many people. I don't know how many people it held, but it was tiny,
yes.
and they were amazing there. That
Mm.
was a really great night. Um, and I brought a friend, and she's so this is an old girlfriend of mine from 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Lives in Paris, and she's been begging me for 20 something years to come, and she was we text every so often we text, and how you doing? Fine. And she
Yeah.
said, Kevy, I just need to see you. I just need to see you right now. So she says, is there any way you could come to Paris? She goes, even if you came for a day. And I'm texting her, and I look, and there Dave Matthews is playing on that Thursday night. So I said, well, let me check something out. So I could get tickets. I had miles. And
Uh-huh.
she said, you could stay. I have an extra room. You could stay in my house. So I said,
Awesome.
okay, I'll be there on Tuesday. And she was
Just
like,
like that. Like,
this
I'm
is
going to
like this is
Paris.
like a Sunday, yeah.
Hey,
So
what
I
happened to
I
this? I
went,
own a
and
business and I got to work stuff. Hey, you just took
well,
off to Paris.
it just worked out. I didn't have anything scheduled. Their tickets were available. I went on United, and I could go there using miles. And I said, okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna basically get to do this for free.
I know. It was meant to
And
be.
you saw the Paris poster. I waited in line
Yeah.
for an hour and 10 minutes for the poster, and they sold the last poster right in front of me. The
Oh my
person in
God.
front of me got the last poster, so I got no poster. So then I was whining about it on
For
one of the
sure.
social media things. Somebody said, if you contact the artist, he'll sell you one. So I contacted the artist, and he did.
Oh
So
yeah. I
because
mean,
it would have literally been the only show that I didn't have a poster for. And
exactly.
unfortunately, I started this stupid collection so
Mhm.
long ago that it's like once you get it going, you can't stop. So
Well, I think that
so
anybody that might be listening to a Dave Matthews Band podcast does not think that you having all of those posters is stupid. We think it's fucking awesome,
yeah.
and we wish we could literally go through and look at each one. So it's not stupid at all.
I when I was at the Gorge, the last time I was at the Gorge, I met a guy, and I don't know if this is true, but he told me he had every single poster that's ever been printed.
I don't know, but hey, if you're
Yeah, well,
listening,
he
call me.
I said, how's that even possible? Like, and he said, I've
Mm,
literally gotten every single one of them. And apparently, I mean, that you'd have to have a lot of money to do that.
you would have
And
to have a lot of money.
and then the other thing is, when you get a poster, you're also signing up to get it framed.
True, you
So
are.
it's the 50, 60, 75, $100 for the poster. Then there's the framing. And the
Hmm.
weirdest thing happened with me in the framing. There's a man here in Houston that has a little framing shop, and I somebody told me, if you want to get stuff framed cheap, go to this guy, and he will frame all those things. He'll frame for like 55, $60,
Holy
and
shit.
he'll do it in one day. And if you go to Michael's, it's going to be 150 for
Hmm.
even for just a plain, and it'll take 2 weeks. So anyway, I
Yep.
went to the guy, and he said, I had him framing something else, and he saw that it was a picture of fish. He says, "Oh, do you like fish?" I said, "I love fishing," and he said, "Me too." And I said, "Really? Do you like to eat fish?" And he said, "I love eating fish." So I said, "Well, okay." So when I went back to pick up the poster, I brought him 10 pounds of vacuum sealed tuna that I had caught in San Diego, and I gave it
Wow.
to him. So that tuna sells for about $30 a pound. So I gave him like $300 worth of fish,
Wow.
and I said, okay, how much? And he said, no, you're not going to pay. And I said, no, 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 that was a gift. This is business. And he took my credit card, and he wiped it on my shirt, and he said, it's been declined, and he handed it back to me. That was
Oh.
that was 9 years ago. I have never paid for framing in 9 years. So
Wow.
he's framed at least 60 posters for free. And all I do is I come in and I bring in a big bag of fish
Yeah.
and I give it to him. I gave him about 20 pounds last week.
Damn.
And and he said he's a little Korean man named,
Uh-huh.
not kidding, Bruce Lee. And so
Oh, easy to
and
remember.
anyway, Bruce, and so all I do is just walk in with the poster, hand it to him, and he goes black, and it's like they're all. So
Hmm.
he's framed at least 60 posters for me. And what
Wow.
you saw in my stairwell is what the kind of the end of the collection in the house because there's literally no more room.
Right.
And so it's spilled off into my office. So there's about 20 on the wall in my office. I'll send you a picture of them.
Yeah, please do.
And I've got two that are being framed right now, and I literally don't know where I'm going to put them because there isn't any place to put them.
What a great
So
problem to have. I've just got so many
yeah,
posters. I can't even hang them all up. I've heard of people
yeah,
having that problem before. And it gets tricky then because while you want more posters as you go to future shows, it is that thing of like, well, I want it, but like, what am I going to do with it because I don't have any wall space left? And so I've heard of people that have gotten, like if you went into a store like when you were younger and there would be like the poster where you could like look through and see which poster you wanted,
yeah.
like, like that.
Slip through. Yeah,
Yeah, so things similar to that where they would just slip them all in there and kind of fold up and be able to store them, but they're flat and protected. And so I'm like, well, that's
yeah,
awesome, but yeah, what a great problem to have. Now I have to ask
yeah.
you
But
only because
I want them. I want them on display.
I
So
get
I
it.
want to
I
look
get
at
it.
them.
Well, I mean, you'll just have to buy a bigger house. I don't know. It's like one of the you got to
Well,
I don't know.
my wife and I have a house in the Bahamas,
Well, there
and
you go.
it's already got three posters down there,
Well, you need
which
more.
are kind of nautical. So there's one of an octopus and one of a mermaid,
Oh.
and so because
Now
it's the house.
do you only get posters of shows you've gone to, or are you okay with posters that you did not go to?
I only get posters of shows that I've gone to with a couple of exceptions, and
Okay.
what I just mentioned in the Bahamas. A couple of I saw a couple of posters that are kind of like from the bottom of the ocean kind of thing. And
Yes.
since it's the house is on the beach, I bought them, and it jazzed
Yeah.
up the place
Did
because
you
they're
see
so
my
they're
dude
so
back here?
colorful and yeah, yeah,
You got that one? I don't know. There's a lot. There was a lot that came out
yeah,
this year
I
that were
do.
nautical. Oh yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
one. I love that one. We got that
So I have one
West Palm
from
Beach.
the one I have down there is from West Palm Beach, and I think I have one. Yeah, I'll show you the one that I have also in the Bahamas, and it's so I bought a second one of this one. It's a jellyfish.
Oh wow, that's
Can
really
you see it?
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really cool. And so it's down there, and then there's another one.
So I
But
have
the
to ask
West
you
Palm Beach
because
ones tend to.
it's amazing. You said earlier that you had someone come and hang all those posters up in your stairwell when your wife left. So when she came back and saw what you had did, what was her reaction?
Well, one is she wants me to be happy,
Well,
okay,
of course,
and
but
she wants me to be happy. She also didn't want Dave Matthews to take over the house,
too
so
late.
I had seconded. Well, it's only in the stairwell and in my office, and then one snuck into the bathroom.
But there's
So she
60 in
says,
the stairwell, so it's a
"Yeah, at
lot.
least there's a lot." Yeah, and
It
then
took over.
then the ones in my office in my formal work office.
Hmm.
I posted them on the family Facebook
Yeah,
page, and so people love seeing them.
they
They
do.
love seeing
They do.
they love seeing you got like 20 posters up. And this one guy made this funny comment. He said, first off, the guy that I paid a lot of money for this guy to hang these things because to hang them properly
Yeah.
to get the spacing because they
A lot
all
of
hang
measuring.
differently.
Yes, I
And
know.
he
It's
had
awful.
laser beams and all kinds of stuff. But this one guy made this comment. He goes, "That is some OCD shit right
Hell
there."
yeah.
He
Hell
said,
yeah.
"Those things are perfect." He
Oh
says,
yeah.
"There's not, they're not a quarter of an inch of." This guy did an amazing job of hanging the posters in my office because they're all, across and,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
some of them are vertical, some of them are horizontal, but this guy did a really great job of hanging them all.
Well,
So,
you'll definitely have to
like I
send me
said,
a picture.
yeah, okay, I will.
And I'll attach that to this video. So again, if you're just listening to this on a podcast app, just check out the YouTube side of it so you can see all of his posters. Now, because you're such a poster collector and obviously you know about podcasts because that's what you're on right now, have you heard of the podcast that's called Posters in Every Direction?
No,
It is a podcast by Dave fans. Literally all they do is talk about posters, but the cool thing about it is they bring the artist on the show to talk about why he did what he did or she did. It's fantastic. You have to check it out.
okay, I will.
Because, and I promise you, they would love to see your collection because that's what they're into. So I will definitely send this video and all your pictures, if, with your permission, onto them because they would just absolutely love to see all your posters.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. So plans for next year, like do you just know you're gonna go to a show every year, like at least one? Or do you ever get to the point where you're
Well,
like, I'm kind of done?
I live in, well, I've said that more than one time, but I don't seem to ever stick to it.
Right.
There's no way I wouldn't. I live here in Houston, so there's no way I'm
Right.
not going to drive 20
Exactly.
minutes to see him. And
Exactly.
then Dallas is kind of just up the road.
True.
So, and I have clients in
Yeah.
Dallas. So this year I even took one of my clients to see Dave. We had pit tickets and he'd never
Hell
seen him.
yeah.
He'd never
And
heard
you
of
can
him.
write that shit
And
off.
this guy's this guy's a Bruce Springsteen, you know,
Yeah.
groupie. And so he'd never been to, he fell in love with them. And I had the premium package, so I'm gonna frame the Bruce is gonna frame his poster, and I'm gonna give him poster from his first show. So
Awesome.
and so
Awesome.
he'll probably go with me next year. So I'll go to Houston and Dallas next year, and then I almost always go to one or two other places, that I haven't been.
Right.
And so, like I went to, um, oh, what's the place in Cleveland? Oh, can't think of the name of it,
Oh,
but
yes. Blossom.
that's it. Yeah.
Hmm.
I went there last year, and
It's
that's where the Cleveland
fantastic.
Symphony plays, and
Yeah.
so the acoustics there are amazing.
Yeah.
So I try to get so you mentioned Deer Creek, you mentioned Alpine.
Yeah.
I haven't been to either of those, and I've never been to West Palm Beach, so I've still got some places to go to,
Yeah, you do, but that's
and so
exciting.
yeah. So. The problem is getting, like I told you earlier, I won't go unless I have really good tickets. So
Yeah.
I've got to get really good tickets for me to get motivated enough to, pay all that money to fly
No,
and
I get it.
hotels and all that stuff.
I
So
get it.
if I'm going, I'm going to go and be right up close, kind of thing.
No, I get that.
And
So
I'm kind of over the pit thing, by the way.
it's a
So,
lot.
the whole thing about getting up on the rail and getting there early enough and running in there and
It's
I'm
a
kind
lot.
of done with it. So if I do get pit tickets, I literally just go to the back rail
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, me
center
too.
because
Me
everybody's
too.
everybody's running into the front, and I just go and I get the center, and I'm standing there, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
30 feet
Mm-hmm.
from him, and I'm
Yeah,
eye level, and it's perfect. So I'm
exactly. I
quite
agree with
happy
you
doing that.
100%.
and
Yes.
and I can go to the bathroom and get drinks and do whatever I want, but I'm not like pinned into this thing
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
everybody's smashing in, and so
Yeah.
I'm kind of done with that thing.
No, yeah, I mean, you got to do it once, and then after you do it
Yeah,
once, a lot of us are like, "Yeah, I don't feel like fighting at a concert, so I'm good. I'll be in
yeah.
the back of the pit somewhere," which
And
is
if
still really great seats.
and if I go with my wife, she doesn't want to be in the pit at all.
Yeah,
So we have to get good seats like up front in the first few
yeah.
rows. But quite frankly, I think it's better.
The
I think it's
seats?
better. The sound
Oh,
is mixed for the center of the arena or the venue.
hmm hmm
So where you really want to be, if you want the perfect sound mix, you want to be about center, about 20 to 25 rows back. Now, I don't go that far back, but the sound in the pit is not that great
Huh. I've
compared
never
to
thought
the.
about that.
And
Huh.
I'll tell you what's. I got to go backstage for a show one time,
Yeah.
and that's the worst sound ever. Yeah,
True.
but
True.
they do give you headphones.
Hmm
If you go back there, they'll give you a set of headphones, so you're literally listening to the mix from the mixer,
Oh my
and
God.
that's incredible. But if you take the headphones off, it's not good sound. So
Right. Right.
I was backstage in San Diego, and I said, no, I thanks, it was really wonderful, but I'd rather go watch
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've never been behind the stage for the Dave Matthews Band, but I have been behind the stage for the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. So,
yeah.
whatever. It does sound different when you're on stage or when you're side stage, like behind, the stage. It is completely different. But, there aren't people behind stage that are there for the concert. So it makes sense. But yeah, it's not good sound when you're behind them.
Well, the nice thing about when I went backstage is I got there early enough and I was invited back and I got to meet all the people in the band. So that
Oh,
was,
well, holy
because
shit.
they're all walking around and eating and
Of
stuff. So
course.
I just go up and say hello to each of them, and it was just really great.
Dude, the story that you're saying right now, like everyone that's listening to this will be like, what the fuck did he just say? Because nobody comes on this show and is like, yeah, I was backstage and I met the band. Like, you're the first. I want you to know that.
Well, again, it was from that through that friend of mine who lives in Denver.
Wow.
She asked her friend, if whose brother was the security guy, if he would do a special thing, and he said, "Yeah, when they get there, call." And we did, and
Wow.
we went back, and yeah. So
Wow. That's really cool.
I can't remember what band was. It was in San Diego. I can't remember what band opened for them, but Dave came out and introduced the band. So I was standing there with the security guard, and came and he stood right next to us. And I'd never met the guy or anything, but it was,
Sure. Sure.
it was great. So we, kind of met Rashawn and met Carter, and
Yeah.
you know,
That's really
and
cool.
I know lots of people that have met him. I mean, met that.
I mean,
One
I've
time I
met
was
Dave
delivering.
Matthews, but I've never been
Yeah,
behind stage.
yeah. Well, so there was this one time I was in. There's a hotel here called the St. Regis, and
Uh-huh.
I was delivering. I'm a business consultant, so I was delivering a workshop session for the people at Chevron that
Oh,
day,
wow.
and I put them in an exercise. So they were going to be doing an exercise for about 15-20 minutes, and that night I was going to go see Dave in the Woodlands. So
Uh-huh.
I went out and actually went out and had a cigarette. And
Uh-huh.
when I went outside, there was like 5 buses, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's got to be them. And I'm standing there, and they start coming out, and Tim came out, and I go, hey, can I have a picture? And so I took my very first selfie. First selfie I ever took was with Tim, and he said, "Hurry up, I gotta go." So
Oh, well, if you have,
yeah,
send that to me too. If you have it still, I'm sure you do, but send that
I
to me
don't,
and I'll put
I
that on
don't know.
video.
I'd have to find it. It's a
Yeah.
terrible selfie.
It was
That's
your first, it was your first
yeah,
one.
yeah. I didn't know what I was doing, and he was in a hurry, and he just
Of
snap it.
course.
He's really
Yeah.
nice, but
Of
he
course.
needed to go.
He
So
was
anyway,
tired. He wanted to go to bed.
yeah.
So we have to
No,
talk
he was
about, no?
he was going for the sound check.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
it was in the afternoon. Yeah, so it was
Gotcha.
about 12 o'clock, and they were all loading the bus to go up, and they get there,
Gotcha.
like 1 o'clock, and then they do their sound check, and then they hang out and have dinner, and
Sure.
yeah,
That's
it's
awesome. So
quite a food spread for those guys at those shows.
I have heard, well, I've seen like some video and stuff. Yeah. I mean, they're not back there eating Subway sandwiches. They're eating well. They're eating well.
Yeah, it
But
was
they're rock
delicious.
stars. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have to talk about something that is happening October 19th. I know that you will be there. And so let's talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and, of course, our favorite band getting inducted this year. When you heard, like, how quickly, and I know what the answer is going to be, but like, how quickly were you like, yep, I'm going, let me buy tickets?
Oh, it's much worse than that. I joined the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member
Uh-huh.
4 years ago because I thought this. I I had heard that if you want to attend the induction ceremony, you have to be a member, and they make tickets available. So I joined, and of course, you
Right.
remember the year that they got nominated and the fans voted them higher than any other band in history, and they didn't get selected. And I'm
Correct.
now a member, and it's like, this thing's rigged. How the hell can you get more votes than any other band and
Hmm.
not get selected? So I was a little bit miffed about them, and I didn't uh, renew my membership the next year. But then I said, you know what? They're going to get. So I signed up last year, and then this year. So the minute it was announced that they were going to be inducted, I mean the minute I had tickets for Cleveland booked on United Airlines, I had a hotel because I knew in about 5 minutes you will not be able to
Hmm.
get a hotel
Correct. And there'll be
because
a
of
thousand
Dave
dollars a
Matthews
night.
Band members.
Yeah.
So I was able to get a good hotel, and I was able to get good perfect flights that corresponded. And then it was just, and I kept texting them and saying, when are the tickets going to be available? When can I get tickets? And then the day that was announced, I got on and got the tickets, and I got good
Yeah.
tickets. So I'm happy, and
Well,
I'm going, and I mean, not to mention Cher's being inducted, and Ozzy
I
Osbourne.
mean, so many people, Mary J. Blige, Cher, of course, the Dave Matthews Band, Foreigner, Peter Frampton, Cool and the Gang, Ozzy Osbourne, A Tribe Called Quest. And what's funny is, they are who, as they're the performer, that's the performer category that's getting inducted. I did not realize that there are like 5 different categories, if not more, because then we've got the Musical Excellence Award, and that's where Jimmy Buffett is going to be inducted,
Right.
MC5, Dionne Warwick, Norman Whitefield. And then, I mean, there's just so many categories. And so this is a big deal for a lot of people. And I know that you must feel the same way I do. Like, yes, we're on top of the moon excited about the Dave Matthews Band getting inducted and seeing them and being a part of that history. But also, there's going to be so many other amazing artists there. And I'm excited to be part of all 10 hours or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, sorry for the dogs, but
No, you're good.
yeah, I think it'll be an experience more than anything. Hang on just one
Yeah.
second.
No, you're
Okay, come
good.
on, come on, come on. Let's go. Come on, come. Good boy, good girl. Okay, here we go. I stepped outside because I'm gonna have a cigarette. Okay, so I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a great evening. It'll be an
Yeah.
experience, and it's probably like a one. I would never go unless Dave and company were being inducted.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to expect, but I'm looking
Right.
forward to it.
Yeah. It's going to be a surprise for all of us. I think most people that I've talked to that are going have never been before to see anybody else inducted, and honestly will probably never go again. So this truly is,
No,
for a lot of people, a once in a lifetime event. This will be something that we talk about when we are 90, and like, what a big deal and what an honor to get to be there and see, I mean, it's kind of like this Super Bowl. It's better than the Super Bowl because once you're in, you're in. And if you win the Super Bowl, it's only for that year. So it's just like such a high honor to be part of this exclusive bunch of people. I mean, just to get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you have to have put out an album 25 years ago or more.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's, I mean, so
Yeah.
you don't just stumble into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like you put a lot of work into it and a lot of years into it. And so it's exciting to see them get this award. Not that they needed it or not that they would have ever said, this is our goal, but I know that they truly do feel honored and thankful. And I do think that they also give a lot of credit to the fans because, as you know, as I know, as this whole podcast is about, the fans of the Dave Matthews Band are similar to the Deadheads of the world, that we're just such a big tribe of people that follow them in every way that we can, whether that's by, train or airplane or car, or in every internet site available, in every Facebook group available, because we can't get enough. And so I think that Cleveland is going to be taken over by some Dave fans.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of cool fans in general, like Ozzy Osbourne. That's just going to be awesome. I mean, I've never seen it. I don't know a lot about his music, but everyone has heard of him, like ever. And so that's going to be really awesome to get to see. And Mary J. Blige, dear God, I all of them. I just cannot wait. But when the Dave Matthews Band gets inducted and then as they perform, it will feel different than any other show we've ever been to. It will feel different. And
I wonder who's going to induct them.
The rumor right now, obviously these are fan rumors, is Julia Roberts, only because she recorded the voiceover for
Dream Girl.
Well, yes, she was in the Dream Girl, but she also just recently was the voiceover for like a video of them being inducted. And her poster, her picture has been posted on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So we feel like that's what is going to happen, but they may be just, tricking us because they like to fuck with us. And that's cool too. We'll see what happens.
I always thought it would either be John Mayer or Neil Young.
Oh, really? Oh,
we'll
yeah.
see.
I can see both of those because, John gives so much credit to Dave himself, just, So there's so many people that look up to the Dave Matthews Band.
He said that he is who he is because of the Dave Matthews Band. So
that's right.
That's why right. I thought he'd be the right guy. But and then Neil Young, they're real close and real good friends. And
I wonder if they'll be there.
Dark Horse Special would be Willie Nelson. So we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see who else there. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, is like who will be there just because they respect music. They love music. They're fans of music. Maybe they're already in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and they're there just, because of that. I mean, there's going to be an interesting bunch of people there. And I wish that I had like a magnifying glass, just like looking at every single person that's down there. I'll be like that creepy girl with the glasses.
Yeah. Well, you'll be up.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
So.
I am pretty close.
So I look forward to seeing you there.
Yes, and I hope that you'll come. If you're listening to this, if you're coming to Cleveland, there is a fan party the night before, which is Friday. There is an event section. If you find the Space Between podcast on Facebook, you can find that event. But there is a spectacular fan event that's being thrown by a huge fan that lives in Ohio. He has 4 different live music guests that are coming in that are incredibly talented. But then, of course, the Space Between podcast is going to be there as a guest. And so I hope that you will come. But anybody that's listening to this, you are all welcome. And like I said, you can find that information out on Facebook. So, well, lastly, thank you so much for being willing to share so much fun with us. I mean, the posters, I really, really do want pictures so that I can just sit there and stare at them. Because it's always, you never know what you're going to see inside the poster. There's so many hidden like fire dancers or meanings from locations. And so I hope that you'll send those to me and I'll be sure to connect those to this video. But Yeah, but thank you so much for sharing this time. I mean, this is what we're doing. We're documenting the fan story, and your story is one that I'm proud to have and continue to share. And so, thank you so much. But if you're listening to this again on a podcast app, be sure to check out the YouTube side of this. And if you're interested in sharing your journey with the Dave Matthews Band, whether you've known them 5 years, 1 year, or more than 30 years, I would love to hear your journey, because it all is going down into this history of this band that is being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So you could reach out to me through any social media and just say, hey, I'd like to share my story. I mean, that is how Kevin got on this show. He reached out to me and he said, hey, I've been to like 100 shows and I've got a really cool poster collection. And I was like, yes, please. But also keep in mind, if you're listening to this, it's not all about that. Like, I love to interview people that have been to no shows and they're a really huge fan, because you can be a really big fan of the music without traveling and going to shows. And so I love every perspective, because every person has been changed by this music and has found this music. So everyone has a story. So if you're interested, definitely reach out to me. But Kevin, again, thank you so much.
Well, there is one thing I would like to say about what you just said, which is
Yes. Okay.
Stephen Colbert had Dave Matthews on his show one night, and he said, there is nothing like going to a Dave Matthews show. There's nothing. So if you've never been to a show, I can tell you that listening to the music is one thing, but going to see them live, there's nothing like it. It's the most intense 2 hours of full out music by talented virtuosos that you'll ever see in your
Mm-hmm.
life.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's a question I usually ask, is what is it that keeps you coming back for more? I like that line for two reasons. I do want to know the answer, and also it's a line in the space between. So it kind of works out for me for marketing purposes. But like, what is it that keeps you coming back for more after all these years?
The other thing is when I go to shows and I meet people that have never been to one, before the show,
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, you are never going to get over this. Like, you will be back. And they always do come back, because I see them at
Mm-hmm.
shows later. And it's like, hey, you're the guy that I saw at my first show. Yeah. So
Yep.
anyway,
Yep.
it was nice. It was
Yeah.
nice to have this time with you. And thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that you'll come back in a few years after we've gotten some more shows or some more history, and we'll talk about even what the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony was like. So our story continues; it's not over. We never know how much time we're going to have, and so yes, if you haven't been to a Dave show, I encourage you. I know Kevin encourages you. See them now while you can, because we are not promised tomorrow with this band. They have been giving us music for over 30 years. I don't think they're wrapping it up, but again, we're not promised tomorrow. So see them while you can, because they are on the road. And so there's never been a better time. And again, if you're interested in sharing your journey, reach out to me on any social media. But in the meantime, guys, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band. Thank you so much.